Hey guys, welcome to another session of Epic 7. So this is going to be my account showcase. I'm recording this and this will be documented at the tail end of Ardor season, so season 3 of RTA. We share the same name with Arena, which is already long gone, and Guild Wars season for Ardor had just finished. So everything I'm about to show is like what I've been using in this season in the entirety of it. And like I said, Ardor season for RTA is just about to end in 1 week. So I'm gonna obviously do like a makeover of a lot of the heroes, and obviously during this season a lot of heroes did see rebuilding, but I think this is a good time to document it. So anyway, Sturmia unbuilt, I'm gonna skip it. I know that a lot of people build her for like Holiday Trials and stuff like that. I haven't really concentrated on getting high score on Holiday Trials, even though there's the Dagger sidecar thing, so maybe something I'll look into. I probably do have some spare gear, I'm just too lazy. Like usually she'll need some really good gear, and I'm too strapped on a DPS gear. Holiday Euphine, always one I really wanted to like build, but again, take some Mola if I really want to invest in it. And so far I haven't used her or haven't had a fight where I'm just like, dang, if I had her, I would have won. That's usually what kind of tips me over the edge in terms of like investing in a hero and in building. So I did get her a level 10 friendship, took a couple months, used her as my DPS in regular raid. Anyways, that's not built. Ken has a lot of problems, but if you guys come to my streams, you guys know why I don't build him or why I don't think he's that good right now. Ravi is probably my first hero we're gonna showcase here that is built. All epic gear, and lately I've just been I've been really only looking into epic gear now. It's getting to that point where like if I roll heroic, I just feel salty. Even if it's high roll, you're still missing a roll. So no matter what, it feels like it's salty. It is a B imprint, as you saw there, plus 15, easy plus 15. I think with her buffs that she's got like for a couple months now, really sent her to like a really usable place, especially with how the RTA or World Arena Frenzy works right now. Ravi is pretty good. So definitely if you have her and you don't have her built, definitely look into building her. Yeah, so these are the stats. As I'm recording this as well, substat rerolling is a thing. So there's a lot of substats I'm thinking of, min-maxing. So like for example, like this one, if I modify like crit rate on the 2 speed, so it's kind of pointless to get this because like you can still roll 2 speed, you could roll 3 speed, but having crit rate on her, the way that my build is set up, it could be really good, up to 5%, but let's say average you go 4%. That makes me 96% crit rate, a lot better. 92 in my opinion is a bit too low, but it's kind of hard to sacrifice since I have a lot of stats and no wasted on effectiveness, no wasted on effect resist. For this build I would call no waste. I know there are some people that run like some effectiveness and even effect resist like main fire Robbies. I'm using the stun EE and obviously min-maxed for 14% attack. The Draco plate is mainly for Guild War. If I use it on Guild War offense, very solid in Guild War offense, at least in Ardor season. Paired with A-Raws, specialty change Doris, and they take out almost all of the dark the ML5s, the dark ones. Very easy together. Draco plate is mainly for that reason. Draco plate could be useful in RTA as well, but a lot of times you're running into people that are doing true damage anyway, so Draco plate could be good for just the damage, not the mitigation part. I would prefer if I had like, infinite gold and I wasn't lazy and I swapped, all my artifacts, I would probably go for like something like Crimson Seed for Robbie, or Sigurd Scythe. But I don't have many Sigurd Scythe. I only have one. So this one I'm gonna show the stats again. There's definitely some stats I'm thinking of re-rolling. As you see, I already have here for this crit rate neck. I definitely suggest crit rate necks for people who have hard to reach crit rate, since you are going to be getting more gear score on a crit rate neck. If you don't know why, I'm making a series on YouTube called Tips and Change, where I just gonna go through like mechanics and stuff like that, so that you might be able to understand why crit rate necks are actually the best bang for buck. But regardless, this is what I'm using on here. I got 75 flat defense, which is good, and then I rolled that HP. It was a flat HP, it was like 200 something. Rolled the 7%, so I got actually high, since Robbie is high base base HP hero. 18 speed, very, very nice for this build. And then 13 crit damage, nice to accompany it, although it rolled low, technically. This one, it was effectiveness on this ring for a really long time. I've always hated it because the effectiveness was only 9, I believe. And it never worked for any heroes I needed this ring on. So when the substat reroll came out, I was like, okay, 5 crit damage, okay, let's do it. And if I get a greater one, it can roll up to, I think, 8. It was only, like, there was no roll, it's just the base. I think I get up to 8 crit damage. If I'm going to waste my gems and min-maxing it, I'd probably look into it, because Robbie right now, to me, is worth it. You say, like, oh yeah, it's 3%, not much, but I mean, if we're chasing, like, you know, the best builds, I think it's worth, I think it's worth it. I'm not quite sure. And again, like I said, like, if I was gonna, you know, substitute that 2 speed there for some crit rate, I could have done it here. The problem with the 500 health is that it's actually pretty good to top off my Robbie to have it where it's at right now. So I'm kind of on the, I'm not 100% sure. Technically 500 health isn't much on Robbie. But I'm also thinking long term, like if I get a better boot and I swap this to someone else, like would crit rate be the best, or would that 500 health be better? So right now I'm not really moving on this piece. But anyways, that's my Robbie. Roz, definitely he grew on me. I already knew he was really strong. If you guys watch me on YouTube, you know the, like, my history, and you know when he got his specialty change, I was just like, oh man, this guy's so good. He was good season 1, season 2, and now in season 3, he's still very solid. Death buff, dual attack, guaranteed dual attack, soul burn, you have infinite dual attack, and you always draw the dual attack from the highest attack, and immunity buff, and he strips it. He's just like very, and death break, of course. He's always very good. So for this Roz, I actually, right now what you're seeing is the pinnacle. I actually just swapped his gear again to make him a bit better. He was running about 25,000 health and about like 1700 defense with about 240 speed. So I gained about like 13 speed, and I had to do this. So give him a defense main. I don't quite like this, to be honest, because he's mainly my Aureus holder, and when it's about like 200 defense but loss of like 4,000 HP, it doesn't really help that much. I feel that he goes down quicker. So ideally in the future, if I can get like an HP main with, you know, very beefy stats, I would swap it with the amount of speed, of course. But otherwise, yeah. So I have him on the self here, which is about 10%, about 10% of his HP. As you can see, that gets to a point where it's a bit too low. Although it does depend on the fight. Sometimes I think that the extra HP thrown on the teammates is better than him having it. It does depend on the fight. Show the stats. I'm going mad on my substat rerolling. So this one, I think it was like a crit rate on the effectiveness change there. So like that crit rate would never really help on another, like, you know, on another hero, to me at least. So I was just like, okay, let's swap to effectiveness. I was thinking about effect resistance, but then it, you know, it could be used on someone else, but I was like thinking, yeah, I think I'm gonna keep this on Roz for a while. So if 6 effectiveness, again, low rolled, it could possibly be 8, I think, if I substat reroll. This one always was pretty good. The flat defense is good. He got 13 health, he got 9% defense, so it started with a high base. So this one is a really good helmet. This one as well went mad with the reroll gems, as you can see there. Very low roll on the effectiveness. If I change this, I have another one. I'm not gonna roll it again. You could get up to 8%, but at that point it's kind of like, not quite sure. Anyways, it was at the lowest, or the base crit rate, and I just didn't really think that I would use this on anyone except the tank. So like either the effectiveness gets swapped to like flat HP, which is kind of diminishing returns on Roz, or effectiveness was like the best call. Having high effectiveness on him is nice. I would definitely say where I'm at with effectiveness is good. If you could spare more stats into it, I think it's okay as well. But anyways, it's he has high base HP, so HP main with some defense rolls will get him the proper EHP balance to me. So once I get that, I'm gonna do it. And again, going crazy, flat HP substat modifiers aren't that really important. It's only when you're min-maxing a piece like this, where you're going for all tank subs, where I think that, okay, that's worth it. I didn't want to throw an effectiveness onto this one because I felt like there was no way that effectiveness really helps this piece except flat HP. As little benefit as I do get from it, I thought that was the best. Either way, this is a heroic. I would have my own thoughts on like whether or not you should subset reroll heroics anyway. In my opinion, epics are better bang for buck, but I'll probably make a video on that in the future. So yeah, this ring, not that great. This is where I'm losing a lot of the speed. This is where I'm kind of like, you know, yeah, this is where I feel like I'm losing a lot of the speed. So if I can get a faster speed and even drop some effectiveness, I think it could be good. The flat HP here was definitely not ideal, but I'm not gonna change this. I'm gonna keep this one untouched. And then this one was crit rate as well on the bottom here. Crit rate doesn't really work well with Roz. Although he does have, I think he does HP scaling. Yeah, he does have HP scaling, but I mean, like, there's so much stats that you want into him that even a bit of crit rate won't really help until you hit around that like 50% crit rate range, where I know a lot of players are trying to hit. So I went for the flat health there. That one actually is okay. I think I'm missing about 30 health on that flat health if you want to min-max it. So this boot was like, it's always been on him, never left. It's not built. This is Expedition. So in my Dark Expo, I'm running this Lilius, and that's it with the Steadfast Gatekeeper. Everything else is not really notable. Like, there's actually okay gear to 90. Like, they will actually look okay at 90. I think that's like 40 defense. This one sucks. This one is kind of weird. And then this one has like 18 speed, but you know, it's a crit set. I don't know if I'm gonna use it on anyone. So Expo, Kayron, built, never unbuilt, and he was really good for me in season 1. Because I didn't really push hard in season 2 of RTA, so he wasn't really seen. That was effect resistance roll where that flat attack is. So this one turned out to be okay. But anyways, he's not like a very important hero to build for me. When I'm drafting in RTA, I could probably roll that effect resisted speed or something like that. Actually, let me see if I have one. No, I don't. Like I don't ever really think about Kayron. I don't really think about him. But so I'm using him for Green Expo right now, as my DPS. That's why the Dust Devil. And I think that's it. That's pretty much it. I'll just go through the stats really quick again. Then this one's not 90 because he's overcapped on crit rate, and I'm not gonna get too much from the attack or the crit damage. So definitely waste. This one I could probably convert the health to speed. Again, if I'm min-maxing. This one, maybe crit rate, I could swap the helmet or something. No crit rate, higher attack, higher crit damage. Like you saw that one. And this one as well. Actually, I could go for speed or flat attack or something if I really cared about it right now. Kayron to me is very weak because of Cerise, F10, Briar Witch, just a whole bunch of heroes that really kind of killed Kayron in the meta, in my opinion. But he's still strong. As a hero kit, he's still strong. Lidica, yeah, actually I was asked today, like, by one of the people in the Iggy chat, is like, is Lidica still your waifu? And I'm like, whoa man, you actually watch my videos? Because for a time she was my only speed contest. But no, she's been on gear for a long time now. Feels bad, man. +7 too. Cowrick, not built. Melissa, I didn't show her, I think, in my last video. This was what she looked like, I think, and I think I had more speed. I dropped her speed down because she wasn't a priority. She was helpful for arena, especially when I went Oxlots comp and I needed to kill like Remnant Violet. I think I usually went like Oxlots, ML Luluka, Operator Cigarette, and then Melissa or something like that. So I had enough books. I could kill RB, I could kill Remnant Violet in one shot. But no, she's really not that useful anymore to me. Yeah, she's not that useful for me right now. So a lot of the gear that she has, I can look into putting on someone else. The hit set was interesting, although I lost the crit rate, but I didn't, at the time when I built her, I didn't ever struggle with the crit rate. It was at 100% crit, but I swapped some gear on thinking that I'd still use her, but I'd never use her anymore. That's why the Oath Key for Remnant Violet. Politis, I made a video dedicated on her, not gonna go too much into this. I think she's solid. I know a lot of people going with the crit damage or the DPS type. I think I'm just lacking the gear, or maybe I'm just not too inspired to do it. But regardless, I have used her in RTA. If you watch me on YouTube, you have seen me draft her. I like Celine and her double draft. Very, very solid, I think. Especially if someone is gonna try to cleave you with it's like CDOM, Ox slots, even though I don't see that drafted much anymore. Tenny is very, very solid. She had been very solid for a long time. Guild War offense. I never unbolt her. Her gear is not, you know, high priority for someone else. So right now I just yeah, I'm just keeping her built, but not used. For a while she was my green expo death breaker, but everybody's going with fireball. So I will show that build. He's level 50 right now, but yeah, anyways, let's move on. Missing an artifact. So usually it will cap to about 14,000 HP with a maxed artifact, either violin or a Tika scepter or something like that. Akate's just gonna show the 90 gear only for Guild War offense. So we're gonna move on. As you can see, I'm still rocking some 65s, and yeah, non-90 gear. Tamarine recently updated to do Abyss, and then now for Expo. So yeah, that's where she's at right now. Nothing too special. Don't really run her in PvP, otherwise I would definitely go for immunity. But as you can see here, still lack of dedication to the gear. This one's not even a 90 boot. Lena is not used. Luna is Expo only. My one and only rage set. That was effect resistance, where you see the speed roll. So I got lucky there. That was a high speed. Yeah, there you go. Just show the 9 effectiveness. It was also because, like, you know, when you're doing the Expo 3s or Expo 2, wherever you're at, and you get the gems, you're gonna get a lot of like rage sets, unity sets, stuff that you won't use, right? So it's like there's a lot to choose from. I went with effectiveness just because PvE, but I only have 27, so it's not super good. This one's okay for damage. This one I'll probably, for crit set, I could probably modify it too. Don't know what I want though. Probably take out the flat health, maybe some crit damage? Maybe? Because I already got attack. Yeah, maybe something like crit damage. So something like that. 4 crit damage? Yeah, whatever. That's not important. And then this boot, long time ago, old one. Potentially I could swap it as well. I've never used it on a... At least now, I never used it on a real main PvP hero. Cigarette for Wyvern. Daydream Joker. Also again, like crit, like destruction sets, like who really uses that? So I'm like, okay, 4 speed, let's just put that there for the substat reroll. Hellray drop ends up being pretty good. So she has enough effectiveness for Wyvern. She does good damage. Crow is interesting. I never changed him since season 1. I know right now I think people are going for higher HP, higher speed, effect resistance about 100 to 120 with immunity. Probably can look into it once I have like more gear, or maybe I'll look into it when I have time. But anyways, I mean he's okay, like, you know, resist some, like, you know, lower effectiveness FCCs or something like that in a Guild War fight. But yeah, generally I think this is now a bit outdated. Definitely I feel it's outdated. It's too slow. Ro is not built. Tywin built for Expedition as well. He's my Fire 3 main death breaker. I have Luluka, Ice Luluka for secondary death break. So I gave him some gear that I popped while I was doing it on stream. Just enough effectiveness, enough speed, and bulkiness to kind of survive the Ferris. Alexa unbuilt, but she used to be a Wyvern farmer. Banshee one shot. Kisei on a spare set of DPS gear. I can convert that maybe to crit rate, to flat HP. Spare set DPS gear. But I'm about to make a very nice immunity set, 250 speed RB, and like this neck, for example, will be a very good neck to use, because it's, again, crit rate, you get more out of your rolls. Crit rate main, that is, you got speed, you got crit damage, you got attack. Yeah, I did the reroll there for the 39. I think you could go higher. I think I used the minor modifier, the smaller modifier gem. So I mean, it'll take a while for me to min-max some of the gear, and even in that time I might be getting better gear. So maybe I don't care. It's not a big deal, but it's like this is a pure DPS ring. It would never really benefit from, let's say, an 8% HP or something like that. So going for the flat attack is not really a big regret. This one's kind of weird. I think a lower base attack hero can really benefit from skyrocketing that attack. But mid, like maybe like a 1100, 1200 type of attack hero would benefit from this boot. Anyways, it's what I had to make this Kisei. Cerise has gone through many changes. At first she was like 300 speed. Hold on, I'm gonna show it. So I've put her on my Guild War defense for almost all of Ardor season. I would say half, the end half of Ardor season. In one of my defense comps. If you're watching this video and you run into it, you guys know it is pretty good, I would say. But I used to run, I think I did this, so it was all the fastest speed gear. But I nerfed her speed because I didn't feel like it was needed. That's it right there, just the two pieces there. So yeah, 300. But then now I nerfed it to 295, which I think is like, given some speed RNG, that's still fine. And plus, you put it on Guild War defense. There's always gonna be RNG on the defensive side, right? We've all been on that receiving end, like Charles Elbersing and dual attacking every single time and smash procking every single time. Anyways, so yeah, Cerise, when I was climbing RTA in Ardor season, I kind of used her with F10, and I started realizing, I'm like, yeah, if I draft her, I'm actually weak in terms of like, I kind of waste the slot, so I don't first pick her. I don't steal her pick. I have other ways of dealing with her. So because of those aspects and the fact that, like, like I said, the 300 speed versus 295, yeah, you got some speed difference, but speed RNG can go either way. So I'm just like, okay, let's drop it down. And so this is it. Yeah, she's molded where she needs to be. Definitely a really good hero, especially after the buff. This is mainly just the speed, nothing else, mainly for the speed to complete the speed set. 18 speed there, 22 speed there, 22 speed there. I need more 22 speed like necks and higher speed rings, that's for sure. This one, and then something like this for higher effectiveness. So she works the way, she's fine. She's fine. And the thing is, I use her in Dark Expo as well. Maybe I'll make a dedicated video on my Dark Expo team in case there are still players watching this who may need some ideas. This is my SSB. Finally, after season 1, season 2, and just getting into RTA season 3, finally built her for sort of like bruisery. So yeah, those are the stats there. She's at an 8 imprint, of course, plus 15. And sometimes I'm actually like, drink is fine, but sometimes I'm actually thinking guiding light. Guiding light could be really good on her. I actually do use it, but sometimes when I have swapped guiding light, I end up not drafting her, or just the draft doesn't make sense to draft in SSB. But here are the stats for this one: 22 crit damage, 18 health, 22 attack. The effectiveness is low. I know like a lot of people like running effectiveness, but honestly I was chasing more damage over time with Bruiser. But now I know this isn't even the new like threshold. People are going like 18,000 HP SSB, dropping the crit damage down to like maybe like 230, 240 crit damage. That's crazy, man. That's freaking insane. I don't know, man. I get it. If she survives and she does damage over time and they don't have a Rowana, it could be very detriment to them. Yeah, those are the stats there. Flat defense is good on her. Crit rate. This one rolled really high. I remember rolling this on stream and it was like a very high gear score, almost perfect roll. I think I'm like missing a couple, like maybe just a bit, but it's a very high scored gear. And then this one I was chasing mainly for the health. So yeah, I don't know if I go, yeah, maybe I can look into like a health main and neck and drop the damage down, but that depends. I don't use SSB on every fight, but she's definitely a really good like 4th, 5th pick. She's definitely very strong still. Dizzy, you don't have a artifact here to showcase the, usually it would be about 18,000 HP. I usually go Violin on her. I don't think I've ever drafted her in this season in Ardor. And I don't actually see a lot of people using her either. Not quite sure if it's because like there's just more effective options But otherwise, I mean, she's still built. I never really had to take out her gear for anyone else. So I mean, she'll remain built until I find someone else. But I think more or less than not, she is what she looked like in season 1. So again, if you actually followed my videos, you would know. Fairy Tail Tenny also using my Guildwood defense, 285 speed, and then 148 effectiveness. I would have to say that Tenebria imprints are really good right now. So if you get a Fire Tenny or whatever, and you can imprint Spec Tenny and you have Fairy Tail, poof, that's really gross. I know a lot of people like over responsiveness start building Katie, Clarissa, and Ray. So I think she was a very interesting start to season 3 RTA, where she kind of like caused a lot of panic. And honestly, like there's a lot of fights like that, you know, my opponent let her through, and she literally was the win condition. Like she set up enough in the first turn so that the enemy lost too many turns and ended up just booming. In my opinion, she's still very strong. I know people don't first pick her much anymore in higher RTA. At least that's my observation, you know, watching other players, watching other streamers. But I still use her sometimes in like third, fourth pick. If I'm trying to, you know, double pick some unbuffable strip type hero. Very solid still. This one mainly just chasing the speed. Crit rate, crit damage kind of wasted on her, at least for my build. 21 speed, 21 speed. This one's 20, and then we got a 17. I remember rolling this. It's perfect. Other than like the speed low rolled me a bit, it was a perfect ring. I think this was a quad rolled ring, so it was kind of tragic. Quad roll, if it was on a 4 base speed, should have been 24 speed, assuming max 4 speed rolls each time. So I definitely got low rolled there, but I was still really happy about this one because it was the day I wanted to build her. I needed an effect ring on speed. I was like converting it and I rolled it. I'm like, oh dang, 17, I'll take it. So it's never really been removed off her. It's like her lucky ring, I guess. This one's pretty good. 26 effects, although it is on a hit set. I've been wanting to make her on an immunity set at 285 speed. A bit too slow, so acids can speed contest and push her back, silence her, making her immobilized in turn 1. I don't like that aspect, and I did go crazy a bit when I first got her. Molded the S2 right away because I thought I was gonna go for DPS build, but I decided to go for just straight up debuffer build. So this one's on the cooldown, and then I even upped this actually. I think what I did was max this and then +3 this, so she's usable right away, and then I did this mixed with something else for +10 friendship. I think that's what happened. Luluka used in my Wyvern. She's my main Wyvern damage with Cigarette. So I don't use SSB. As you saw, my SSB is built for RTA. I use her and Cigarette, both on Daydream Joker. Melt Wyvern pretty quick. I kind of like this. Shout out to Solidus, who is my usual stream attendee. He was saying that, oh yeah, he doesn't even use SSB, so he doesn't have to pull 2 SSBs, and I'm like, oh hey, that's a really good idea. So now I'm kind of more invested into her, plus now I'm using her in Fire 3, so expeditions. So the double hit set, I'm gonna show you guys a build that I'm looking at, because I'm gonna ungear Melissa like I said before. So that hit set speed boot that Melissa had is actually pretty nice on her, so you take a look at that. So that's pretty good. I have a piece of gear here that could use a better piece, like a replacement, and a 90'd, and I think she'd be very solid. So like she'd be comparable to a speed set damage dealer type. So I think I'm going to commit to this, dropping that you only lose 1% crit damage. So if I'm, you know, banking on Daydream Joker for the damage anyway, it's gonna be good. Got some beefy stats out of it, and just the 45 speed is just too much value. So 400, almost 500 attack dropped, not too big of a deal. Especially I could probably get something with like higher crit damage on this piece, and maybe lower the speed. I think that might be better for my speed tuning, but that would be something I will look into in the future. Again, probably on the next free gear event. Momo, my Momo's not that good. I would say that right now. It's she would get debuffed by my own debuffers, so I don't really trust her. I've been debuffed into the prominent Cerise F Tenny RB meta. This is like right before, like designer Lilibet has been out for a week now as I'm making this video recording, but that defense is still being used. I think it's not gonna go away until people start realizing that defense doesn't get any more wins. I've used my Momo in those comps before, still got debuffed. And no, I don't use Tome for that. I forgot why I used this one. But I use go for like Shimada Staff. I still got debuffed, so it feels bad, man. Just high, like gear check, right? Gear check. And then it's not like super bulky and it's not super fast. So I look at a lot of people's Momos. Definitely something that, I mean, if I could, I would improve her, but I don't use her much. And I don't like drafting Soul Reaver in RTA, so I've never used her once in RTA. But yes, Guild War I have. Sometimes win, sometimes fail. I've nerfed DN to the ground in for Ardor season, but I think she started suffering a bit at the tail end of season 2 in RTA because of, you know, Blood Moon Haste, Last Rider Crow, a lot of true damage folk. Anti-crit doesn't really stop it, so I kind of nerfed her a lot. Like I lost like 30 speed from my previous build, but she's enough to use in, let's say, maybe a pocket pick scenario, and use her in Guild War sometimes. Hence the 21 rod. But still on so on a lot of the 88 gear, as you can see, not super inspiring, but it is what it is. So she still has a lot of the same gear from season 1. Alina I don't have built. Alencia also, so I saw Alencia go up and down in my observation. My Alencia used to be 300 crit damage, although only 180 something speed. I upped their speed within like an artifact, a plus 30 artifact. She's at 22,000 something. She is a triple S though. For those who know my history, why she's triple S, it was because it was back then when I was using all my Skystone for summons only and not for gear. And then I capped her off with like some of the mystic rotations where I didn't want her anymore because I'm like, she's so close to triple S, but then I still get her, not the ML5. Yeah, so this is the gear on her. Some stuff I could convert, I guess. We got 14% effect resist. But I've never drafted her once in Ardor season, and I don't know, and I don't really use her in Guild War either. Not on offense, not on defense. So right now she's kind of like a gear holder, but kind of like built just in case I need her. But we'll see, because I know that she's still really good. A lot of the top players still use her, so by no means is she bad. It's just that I think in my style right now, I just can't really fit her. Yeah, so anyways, let's move on. Lilibet hasn't been touched since like season 1, and oh man, I just realized that can sound really bad. Don't quote me on that one, you degens. Purgus was an interesting one. So he's almost level 10 friendship. I am leveling him up. He was my response to the Cerise F10. Just because, like, if you think about it, like, unless they have like an RB or something, or someone really bulky, if they have those two and they're left with, let's say, 2 squishy DPS, then Purgus has a really good shot of winning that, just auto, in terms of just countering them to death. So, but you know, as I was leveling up his friendship, I just realized that no, I don't need him like as a response. Like, so again, he has some like decent gear on him. Not the best, but he has decent gear. And I don't think I'll ever use him. Feels bad. Yeah, so maybe one day. I have been killed in RTA by someone using Green Purgus on me, on my Fairy Tail Tenny. So that player actually did give me the answer I needed in terms of like, can he work? Like if you actually invested into him, you like max molded him and he's on Sigar's Scythe, can he work? The answer is yes, he could definitely work. So Euphine not used. Charles, after much time, I finally kind of ungeared him. Yes, no. I'm not going for a 5-piece speed set for the extra speed. No, it was exactly for Banshee one shot. Now that there's like the Free Spiriteria 3-man Banshee one shot, which is pretty amazing, I'm gonna probably look into like putting this gear on her. But right now, Charles for me is, I mean, I don't use him on Guild War defense. I don't use him anywhere really. So this is what he's gonna look like for now. But the gear on him is actually not bad. So let me just quickly show that. This one's kind of weird though. The effect resistance, what could I convert that to? Maybe HP? Could be a decent bruiser piece, or speed, maybe speed. This one's kind of weird. This one's okay, and whatever, it's just literally like put on whatever gear I had so I could do one-shot Banshee. F. Clury has seen multiple revisions during this season as well. I started to, again, like I lowered the Cerise speed for Roz, lowered the Cerise speed, and also ungeared my ML Rin for F. Clury as well. So like with the kind of response to Cerise getting the buff and F10E being released at the beginning of the season, you know, I think a lot of people built ML Rin as well. I did as well, and she didn't always secure the win. So I felt that F. Clury is a better response to like speed contest either Cerise or F10E. 281 is pretty slow because I mean there are people with like 290 F. Cluries. Effectiveness, I get it, it's 52. It works when I need it to, and I prefer to soul burn her anyway. So a lot of the times on turn 1, depends on the speed tuning, I don't actually use the S3. I do wait. This one, like I just rolled 20 speed on random stuff, so it's kind of salty that it's not on speed. But I think if I can get this one to like a 19 speed, get this one to like, you know, 20 speed or something like that, I could be looking at like a 290 F. Clury, and I think I'd be really satisfied with that, to be honest. This one's a low roll in general type of piece of gear, but at that time when I was rolling it, that speed was very important to me, so it's kind of been passed around. This one actually was pretty good, although sadly on a crit set, but it was good. It was like, you know, you could look at the stats there. The 22 speed ended at pretty good effectiveness. This one rolled really well, 21, and I'm going to convert that, probably the attack or maybe the crit damage into something else. I'm thinking about like defense percent or flat defense, as those two could be more interchangeable with the way that the stats are kind of rolled here. I don't know about keeping crit damage, or like the attack is nice on knights, especially over time. So attack percent might be more usable than the crit damage, so I might think about taking out the crit damage there. And then this one, as you saw, it's a main stat defense ring, which is sad because I had I'll show you. Sometimes I have these kind of like speedy beefy pieces, but then I roll them on hit sets and they just don't wait a minute. Oh, this is 12 speed. No, that's not the one. There was one that had, is it this one? Yeah, it's this one. So this one, if I reforge it, it's 16 speed, so it's the same as this. But F. Clury gains much more out of this, so a percent based defense, than she does, you know, non. But this one doesn't have any HP percent, so I'd be losing some HP. Regardless, it would break the set anyway, so that's why I can't really use that one on her. This one's 14 speed if I reforged. This one was probably for some DPS. Never used it on someone though. Yeah, okay, so go back. So 281, it had worked. I'm hovering kind of like low champ in RTA. So in terms of the players I'm fighting against, like the 281 is pretty fast. Again, I do like challenging Cerise, so people who first pick Cerise is like, okay, good, go on, take her, because, you know, she hasn't really caused me to win much. And with the people choosing Cerise first pick, I usually choose F. Clury as a response. Just because, like I said, I mean, if Cerise wants to do the S3, they most likely won't have enough of follow-up to challenge a 281 speed, even though if we got a speed down. But if you're going to do the S2 to stun her, because mine's not on immunity, you got a 50-50 chance of landing it. And are you going to let everyone else through? And of course the answer is no. So that's why I kind of used her. That's what I kind of used her for. She's good in Guild War as well. Sometimes I swap her with an Aureus, and she's fine, like killing off Remnant Violet and only single target damage. So I like run her, specialty change Doris, and Spec Tenny, and most of the time you always win. So if they're only locked to like a single target defense, F. Clury is very good, especially if you can figure out a way to bait away the damage. Bikin for one-shot Banshee, she shares the same chest as Sigret, so I'm not going to show that. Celine did use her while I was climbing in Season 3. Like I said, the Politist Celine double draft. I think there was one fight, I don't think it was on YouTube though. There was one fight I had where she was my sole DPS, and she killed everyone because I had A-Ros, so I could dual attack and stuff like that. She killed everyone, so it was very good. It was a really nice fight. I don't think I have that footage anymore though. quickly show the gear. It's not super crazy. I ran her with a speed boot for a while too. I'll show the stats. But I ended up thinking that, you know, the way I'm gonna use her, the way I was gonna draft her, I don't need her to move fast. So it's the only reason why I didn't keep her on the speed boot. Otherwise, she was using, I think, Assassin SIDS, something like that. So 4.3 and then not 100% crit rate. That was one thing that I didn't like about it either. But it's just that I didn't really feel that I needed the speed for most of the fights I brought her into. I kind of needed the nuking power. But I mean, of course, like, you don't need to follow this, you know, as a way of you thinking. The best way, obviously, is to figure out how you want to use your heroes in what circumstance, and then just build towards that. That's just the best way. Of course, I do use the highest attack EE. Again, I only select her for fights I know I have that control. So if they use Emma Luluka, she's gonna buff herself. He's gonna kill her. If she holds the buff, then she doesn't get Dignus Orb or whatever, right? So like stuff like that. So yeah, but this one though, yeah, free to play artifact. So far it has procced every single time that I have used her, which isn't a lot because I don't use her a lot, but it has. But ideally plus 30, 100% plus 30 if you want to do this. I personally don't like the portrait technique. I like the chance of getting the attack buff, so you can have it on the even on the S3, so she gets more healing as well, or guarantees more healing. Sid not built, Vildred not built, Violet. I'm hoping for Violet buff. Like, as I'm doing this recording, we just got the epic pass with the Violet skin. Hoping for Violet buff or Violet EE or something like that, man. I think he's got a very fantastic kit. Self-cleanse, you know, the 100% counter if he evades. I love that aspect. And then reset the cooldown if his focus is max. And he does so much damage with full focus. So I think there could be a Violet return someday. I don't know how they're going to rework it. Assyria PvE only. Landy is one of my favorite heroes this season. Once she got the dev buff, she was just like, you guys know my changes. Like, if you watch me on YouTube again, you know my thought process. Before, when she was released, I'm like, no one's gonna use her, trust me. She can't go through anti-crit buff, she can't go through defense buff. She's just not gonna be good. Once she got the buff, I'm like, everybody pull her, she's so freaking good, you must build her. And I'm very glad I did. Definitely not a waste. Plus 15, 100%. Even with her return banner, that triple banner, which I still don't like, I even pulled enough to get her one imprint. Because it was so bad before, I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna pull her and it'd be done. But then she's so good now that ideally you want her at triple S. So you can lower the attack that you see here for more speed or more bulk. Like, either way, it won't hurt her. It's just insane. She's just such a good hero. Yes, I see the 99% crit rate. She I can't get it from anything here. You see that it's I'm running perfect subs, although low subs on some. I'm running perfect subs, so I can't actually find a crit rate. Potentially, can I roll this? Do I have a? Can I roll this for 5? I could. I mean, I could keep throwing RNG at it. I mean, that might make this boot more worthy. I'm almost debating like doing this on the video recording, but no. So you can't get lower, but it's 1 out of 3 chance. 1 out of 3 chance to get the crit rate I need. Right now, I don't know, because might be moving gear around, so I won't commit to it right now. Bloodstone is usually for PvE. She's been useful in some Abyss runs, actually. Abyss 105, recently used her the way she is right now. Fantastic. I use her in Dark 3, so Expedition. Also very good. So I use the Bloodstone for that reason. So PvE and Arena offense, I use her. Bloodstone, one of the best. In RTA, I always swap to Guiding Light. So I think she drops a bit of HP, if I'm not mistaken. I have it here. It is the plus 9 right now. Yeah, it drops a bit of HP compared to Bloodstone. Yeah, 100 HP. The damage drops a bit too, just because it's not maxed. But regardless, yeah, so that's my build there. Pavel had built before, not built anymore. With the new EE though, if I had the speed gear, DPS speed, he might be built, but not my style this season. I did use him a lot in season 2 though, even though I only hit up the masters. Basar, always solid, and apparently he's still one of the best picks right now. Season 1, Season 2, Season 3, he's always been just disgusting to deal with. Varying stats on what you want to achieve. I'm okay with this. I usually use him for the actual, like, the pushback. But some people just use him as a book holder. Anyways, on immunity and a 255, the bulk is really good on this one, I will say. I really love the bulk. I think I would want to dial up the speed even more. But yeah, because the flat, you got the flat defense, you got the flat HP, you got the speed, you got more flat HP, you got defense, percent health, you got flat defense, and then this one as well. So ended up just being a lot of bulk. I might lower his bulk for, I use him more as a reactionary pick. So he doesn't really get used a lot, but definitely solid. When I need him, just like, oh yeah, Bassar. And he's still a high ban rate hero because people just know how detriment it is. Vivian, built her for RTA this season for the cleanse. 240 is pretty slow. I wasn't sure how I wanted to use her this season. I used her a lot in season 1. And she kind of fell off for me. So I think I may look into ungearing her. So there's like about like 10 to 12 heroes that I kind of cycle through, that in every single fight I've been thinking it's just like, okay, I'm gonna pick these heroes. And so Vivian is kind of not in my, like, I would say core roster thought anymore. So it's just like Kayron, they're kind of like pushed aside. I can see her being used, I just don't know if my build right now is usable. Used her once, I think, while I climbed, which was a good pick, but you know, true damage and all that jazz is pretty crazy. So Last Rider Crow, I mean, of course. Rowana still built like a scrub. I think I'm gonna try to look for a counter set on her. But Stella Harpa is really nice if I choose her in RTA. Because mainly you know, they have an SSP or something like that. But Stella Harpa pretty nice, and she's on free gear, mainly on Guild War offense though. General Purg is not built. A lot of people are building him right now. He's like the new golden boy with some damage and bulk and speed. He's very bad, or he's very good rather, but very bad to deal with if you're going with, like, you know, kind of like AoE, constant AoE. He's almost like a, you have to ban, or he puts you in a really difficult situation. Mine's for Wyvern. I don't have the gear to make him into a bruiser yet. Jay Kisei used a lot with my Oxlots. Left her this way, not really changed. LQC, although I would say consider this built, I never used her once in RTA. It's not because I'm not comfortable with the stats. I would say that this is a bit squishy now compared to the gear level that I'm facing. But the gear on the left side is actually pretty good. So pretty high score gear. The gear on the right side, as you can see, is heroic, so I'm always going to be missing a roll. It's also a B imprint, by the way. Oh, and not Max Molad. So yeah, you can see my dedication to her. I think she's a fantastic hero. I see people use her, and it's not a question why they use her. Damage mitigation, straight up nuking damage. Really solid pick against Champion Zerato if you're force banning. Effectiveness wasted there, so I could probably substat reroll, but not sure if I really want to. Yeah, so Hellcutter is not her main, by the way. This is just temporary. I usually go with Sigurd's Scythe, but again, I only have one. So, and because I don't draft her a lot, I don't keep that artifact on her. Golden Boy number 1. So Ambitious Tywin. He's at a B imprint. Max Molad. At this season was the only season that I started realizing that I really want to build him well. So I got him in season 2, but I never really used him, and he was like on a speed set, hit set, or whatever like that. And in this season, I just really wanted to actually get like decent gear on him. So in terms of damage, as people know that he has like similar HP scaling to FCC, but FCC's HP scaling is not solely on HP alone. It is hybrid with attack. It is higher than Alencia's attack mod. So having him high attack with mixed crit damage and decent health is the best ratio in terms of overall damage. So this Ambitious Tywin can do quite a bit of damage. If I can sneak in an attack buff, that's even better. But 1866 attack, I actually chased the attack on this one because I didn't want him to start losing damage. That was my experience with FCC, so this helmet is where I'm getting a lot of the attack. Because I'm still running Bruiser FCC, This one's kind of like mid-roll, but overall good. This one as well. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, I just realized that. Holy crap. What the heck? The 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17. I actually didn't notice that, but anyways, crit rate neck again. Again, like you know, I always say that if you're going for like a crit damage neck, maybe look into crit rate necks first. If you roll high on your substats, crit rate necks always get better bang for buck. This one I converted the 8 crit rate. It was supposed to be 12 effect resistance. 8 crit rate got him to that 100%. He was exactly at 92%. I lucked out on the high roll on the crit rate substat reroll. So this one ended up being pretty good for Bruiser. Because of that effect resistance, and we got 12 speed, 22 crit damage, 9 defense. I'm just like, okay, crit rate has to be the only stat here that can, you know, make this ring interchangeable to other heroes in the future. Let's say if I do want to unbuild my Ambitious Tyrant. The flat health, potentially I can look into changing that into like defense percent or something like that. But this is an overall low roll gear. But I 90 this out of like desperation, pretty much. So that's my bad. Sometimes I still make that boo-boo. I just not patient enough. But yeah, it'd be nice, man. Get triple S golden boy. Oof. Oh man, if it was only a whale. C Armin getting a new buff soon, so we might be seeing that. I might be building here just to see, you know, some speed set immunity, high speed C Armin on Elbrus. We'll see. Eaton somehow still used in some of my RTA fights, actually. I usually put on Adamant Shield, so you get the double effect, Aureus Adamant. F Maya, built as a bruiser, never really used her in terms of RTA. On Elbrus, I think I have another Elbrus. Hold on. Yeah, I have 2 level 30 Elbrus. But one of them is on F Maya, which I don't use. The other one was supposed to be on Charles, which I don't use. So now I have 2 Elbrus that is not used. I use F Maya sometimes in Guild War, but this is the build. I never really changed it. If you're questioning the sets, it's mainly because I had these gear and they kind of look like okay. And you know, we always have too much Golem reforge mats. So I'm like, what the heck, man? Let's just you know, use it. So anyways, that's where she's at right now. Not super impressive, but whatever. If I need her, she works. Last Rider Crowd, Golden Boy number 2 in terms of my built ones. Could use more love. I definitely want him to get to the place where I feel pretty satisfied with my Ambitious Tywin. He needs more love. Wherever I can find it. So I would like him to have a bit more HP. Obviously 0 effect, so unless I don't get better gear, I will convert. I'll convert the substats. So 5 effect resist here. That could be flat defense. Before I ran him, it's too much work to find it. Before I ran him with about 1700 attack, 1900 defense with 26,000 HP, but only at like a 210 speed. And he wouldn't die. Like he would with Adamant Shield. This is my favorite on him. With Adamant Shield on, he would survive for a really long time. This one, he definitely, you can actually feel it. You can feel that he dies like earlier in one shot. But the extra speed is nice for the way I'm tuning the rest of my heroes. So I feel like this is like it's enough to merit the lower tankiness. I do like him a lot. I mean, I pick him a lot. If you watch my videos, you would know that. This is my Mursa on Lifesteal Immunity. I used her a couple times for the speed imprint, and even in Champ, actually. In Champ as well. Although I think she was like immediately banned because people like saw that I was using her mainly for the speed imprint. But she's not a bad hero. If Mursa gets a specialty change, I think she's gonna be like specialty change even without changing any of the skills, which they usually would anyway because it's a specialty change. But even if they just give her a bit higher base stats, in my opinion, she's going to be as strong as Remnant Violet in a sense. She can be sealed just like Remnant Violet by Archdemon's Shadow, but she's very, very strong. I know a lot of people on my stream come into my stream and then see me use her on an offense arena or whatever, and they're like, oh, what she's built like, you know. And I show the stats. It's like the attack is very low, right? But she's speed scaling, and her speed scaling is actually really high. And if you sober at S3 with Moonlight Dreamblade proc, you get an attack buff, and she has a speed buff if you miss her. she does insane amount of damage. So my low attack is compensated with the high crit damage, since her base attack is extremely low, being one Pisces Thief and then also a 3-star. But she's just low stats. That's where she struggles with the most. I can probably convert some of these gear, like this gear. Yeah, no, maybe not that one. Convert some substats on these gear, like maybe lower the effectiveness. The effectiveness is nice because she can do a silence, she could do speed down. But I think in the overall fight, you probably want more HP, maybe more damage because of the lifesteal. But anyways, she really benefits from flat defense and flat HP. If it's high roll, arguably better than 8% HP, depends. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff actually I could reroll on this in terms of the substats to make her better. I'm fine with her like this though. I really like this defense main, flat defense main ring. I do think she actually gets more defense with percent. So I don't want to give false information here, but that one was a decently damagey one. And has flat HP. That's why mainly, I think. So let me just double check so I don't give like false info. Okay, so you get 15. Okay, so with the 65, you get 15 more defense, which in the long run, of course, that's going to be a bit better, but it does depend. Like if you have defense, like flat defense main, and you have like insanely decent subs, I would still roll it and maybe think about it on Immersa. But I would also change it again, like I said, if she gets higher base stats on a specialty change. Defense, I don't know if she's gonna get any higher base. Most likely, if anything, HP or damage stats, or maybe even effectiveness, but that's gonna be kind of sucky in my opinion. Anyways, that's my my rant about her. Tempest Siren, mine is really bad. I'm gonna say that right now because I lost interest in using her. I know a lot of people still use her, but I think it's a more of like a style kind of thing. Like right now, I feel like the bruiser meta is still very strong, especially champ or higher. And Tempest Siren, if she greater attack buffs multiple times, yeah, you're gonna do a lot of damage. In my opinion, she's got to be fast to get the turn cycling. Otherwise, like, you know, how my Last Rider Crow, maybe let's say if I did Last Rider Crow, G Purgus, Ambitious Tywin, she can't survive too many AoEs altogether. And plus, I always pre-ban FCC, at least this season. So she's not gonna get that barrier, at least not unless people run a Bastion or something like that, or what's it called, Rise of Monarch on SC Raws or something like that. She's not gonna get it. So in the way I draft, I can't see myself using her. So therefore, she's on like gear that kind of works if I need her maybe for arena offense or maybe a guild war offense. That's it. So nothing impressive to see here. I might be looking to converting this one for a new Remnant Violet build though. So stay tuned for that. As we get to Remnant Violet, you'll see Athletica feels bad, man. I think I pitied her. No, I maybe I didn't pity her. I remember when she came back on the Mystic, I'm just like, oh yeah, I want to go Cleave now, because at that point I just freshly got Oxalots. So everybody, you know, who follows me is just like, yes, it's Jagan's favorite is Oxalots. No, you guys will be in for a surprise. So I was all into the cleaving thing, and you know, I had the gear for it, but not so much speed gear that I can, you know, deck out an entire roster necessary right now for cleave. You gotta be very smart in cleave drafting now to get the cleave through. And I know like a lot of cleave players are still struggling just because there's so many ways people can outdraft anti-cleave, or sorry, outdraft cleave with anti-cleave. So yeah, so she's not built anymore. So sadly, Water Shuri on some 90 gear. I'll just show the stats, I guess. I don't even know what he has on. I don't really use him anymore. Again, he was mainly a speed imprint, really good for like Oxalot kind of cleave. Broman, I run him on my defense. He's very scuffed. He's actually very scuffed, but he really gets a lot of wins. So I'm running Sage Baal, F10, Cerise, Broman, Remnant Violet, and RB on my defense right now. And these are the builds. So, I mean, you guys are getting the inside scoop. But for Ardor season, the tail end, when I started running this comp, I just got a lot of wins. At the end of the season, like, I think it's just a lot of RNG, and which is what I really like about defensive teams. It's just RNG, speed and RNG. I think I got one of the highest defense win rates in the whole guild, but I am running a fort, so I do have more HP to be able to get more more defensive wins, but I think it was like upwards of like 120 draws, like 40 something full wins. But yeah, the Broman is at 295 effect. People shouldn't be surprised at that because it's not super hard to get it because he has a triple S imprint, or easily accessible triple S imprint. And if he's not on immunity set, you got that extra 20% from hit. So he's not insanely hard to get high effect. Actually, this one, oh, I could get more effect. But ideally, I want him on an immunity set if I want to keep running him. But I mean, there's a lot of stuff that counters him. Ambitious Tywin, if you know, one-on-one you don't get Abyssal Crown, Rowana, etc. There's a lot of stuff that does counter him. Sageball All, I made his own exclusive video showcasing him in RTA. Absolutely one of the most broken heroes, and I did a long commentary on that, so if you want to check out that video, definitely do. Why I think he's so broken right now. But no, I haven't really like subset rerolled him. I'm also looking into a new build on him, high effect resistance build, but I'm playing around with him right now. It's just like he's a good neutral pick. He doesn't suffer from too many damage heroes. He suffers from high burst damage or lots of control, or heroes that can damage him over time and he can't damage them. So like Fire Ravi, Apoc Ravi, Last Rider Crow, stuff like that. Especially self-sustaining heroes, so like Fire Ravi and A Ravi, probably one of his worst nightmares, I would say, because like he can't kill them, but they can easily kill him once they get a soul burn or something like that. Once he uses his S3 up, of course. So yeah. So anyways, did I show all the stats? I think I did. But anyways, if you want my whole discussion on, you know, why I think he's really good, watch that video. Blaze Dingo had him built. He's unbuilt now. Magic Scholar so SC Doris, must build hero. If you haven't watched my debut video on her for Guild War, and I explain why, with all the Dark Elemental like RB Remnant Violets on defense, almost every single player who has those 2 ML5s are building their team around them. So like you interchange with like Landy, interchange with FCC, like around them. And I myself, like I said, I already told you guys my Guild War defense team. He's going to be used. They're going to be used. So therefore the counter pick, Magic Skull Doris, very, very good. And actually, you know what? She's actually really good in RTA as well. Although again, I don't like players drafting Soul Weavers because yawn. But I know why she's good. I mean, if people pick RB, you go with her, and you're almost going to mitigate people trying to S3, and RB cannot kill her as SC Doors, not single-handedly at least. Anyways, very solid hero, must build. Ooh, I should actually upgrade that effect chance. More blind. Very high blind chance, 80% by the way. Okay, quickly show stats. Maybe I convert that to crit damage to flat HP. Quick show. She has actually pretty good gear in terms of the red gear is pretty good. The resist set was like this is what I had. Let's quickly use it and build her. This is when I was like testing her, and she turns out to be like freaking crazy. Definitely not a regret. And definitely is worth the love to get better gear. But like I said, you don't actually need really high gear to make her good. She works as it is. It's just insane kid. Maid Chloe, a lot of people are going with the when's the buff for Maid Chloe? Maid Chloe has kind of suffered a lot. I think like RTA picks and whatever, she can still be good. But anyways, this is my build right now. It's really nothing. She went from like really well built, all my Soul Weaver gear that you guys seen so far, to like just on 85 placeholder, maybe once or twice used in like some Guild War offense or something like that. Ruel also coming back at the tail end of Ardor season. I see that a lot of people are using her again. I might be converting some of these gear to give her like maybe a bit more speed or something like that, or a bit more bulk. I think she'll work this way. Maybe more bulk. She's good. She's solid. I mean, Guild War offense makes a lot of fights really safe. I never drafted her yet in RTA. I used to have her pre-banned, even though when I owned her, because I didn't like dealing with people with Ruel, but now I'd ban FCC because it opens up more possibilities for me. Ungeared a Robbie, but I'm looking into rebuilding her on speed set. More on that maybe next time. Lorena built for raids. Dark Corvus. I think this is exactly what he looked like in season 1, but I don't really use him anymore. Cigarette Scythe on ML Ken. I actually use him a lot more now in Guild War offense. People running the Tempest Syrian FCC Landy comp. ML Ken is very, very strong against it, especially if you have A-Raz and Fire Akates. I'll show the gear because it's actually not too shabby in terms of the 90 gear committed. This one I did a conversion. I was very happy about this. Again, the substat reroll gems, you know, you get all the sets that you don't want, but it can be useful. It can be useful. This was supposed to be effectiveness, where the defense was, and rolled it into a 10% defense. So I'm pretty happy about that one. And then this one just complete garbage, so definitely no need to 90. If I do actually hold your phone, hold on, because my Charles is ungeared, I can actually give him this boot. He'll be solid. I might do it. I might change it. This one. Loses 100 attack, but gains a lot more bulk. I might do it. I might actually do it. 11 more crit rate too. That's pretty nice. I'm actually gonna do it. I'll commit to it. FCC. Season 1 FCC. This is my Bruiser FCC. It's very outdated, trust me. It hurts my eyes too, guys. No imprints. Maybe I'll think about really seriously building here when I get imprints, but lacking defense, lacking speed, and I think too much emphasis on the damage. But when I need her, let's say Guild War offense for the let's say people running F10 only damage, or sorry, F10 only opener, no Cerise. Running her because she has immunity with barrier. F10 only strips the barrier, doesn't strip the immunity. She'll hit really hard. Again, my experience with FCC a long time ago, back when my friend Tara was playing, he had a Bruiser FCC. I tried to create a Bruiser FCC. We got similar HP, similar crit damage, but he just did so much more damage. And I'm like, what's the difference? He had 200 more attack. That was my rationale for building higher attack on the 8 Tywin. But anyways, I mean, if you don't believe me, run into the stat calculator and you'll see that the attack isn't too bad, especially if you're running out of stats to roll in terms of the health. But for FCC's sake, because she has the barrier effect, which is scaled on her health, having her on higher health versus attack is definitely more worth it. Higher health, like I said. But these gear were like a reaction to when the 90 gear dropped. So like I said, season 1 build, when the 90 gear dropped, I just went ham on whatever I had. So a lot of the regrets here, like this one, like I wouldn't even recommend anyone to 90. This one for the health maybe, but everything else is low. So overall low gear score. But again, this is a heroic, right? But for 90 gear score is very low. This one maybe change the effect resistance. Maybe just speed, because it will forever probably be on a Bruiser, I'm imagining. Effectiveness kind of wasted on my build, so that's kind of wasted stats right there. Maybe percent defense, but I don't think so. I think I'm gonna rebuild. Definitely not going to Bruiser anymore maybe, but I keep her pre-banned, so I don't know if I would use her in RTA. RB is my RB right now. With substat reroll, I can easily get that 8% defense, which is the most beneficial to reroll if I'm going to reroll that ring. To crit rates 100%, but like I said, I'm working on it's double S right now. I'm working on a 250 speed immunity set RB, so that will come in the future. So if I wanted to improve this one right away, of course, crit damage on the health, I don't think I can really improve that one. Too bad. It's wasted stats when it comes to the chest on DPS. There's only 3 stats you need. It's really crit rate, crit damage, and speed. And if not all of it rolls in it, it's kind of wasted. This one is all rolled into the 3 bottom ones. The health there is it's untouched. It's just what happens at the 90. So this one's actually relatively good in terms of a piece. But if I wanted like more speed, you know, it's hard to get. But the chest piece, this one's as good as it can get, I think. Technically I could have gotten 9 speed if it rolled 4-4. This is probably what's dragging down this build a lot. Loss of attack, loss of speed, loss of crit damage, and we got flat defense. Again, I'm not going to substat reroll this one. I did substat reroll this boot because it had, I think it was, I like to say effect resist or effectiveness, something like that. But this was like, okay, it's all offensive stats, so let's reroll it. I don't know if it can go higher. I think it can. I don't have one to demonstrate it, but I think it could go a bit higher in terms of the attack. I don't think I got the highest. But overall gear score, not high, so probably not worth rolling another one. But it is a, you know, full-on DPS boot, so, you know, nice to have them. Acid not built. Again, I don't use Acid to speed contest. I think Acid is a good speed contester, but I felt ML Rim was stronger, at least at the beginning. So again, I'm geared because now I have, you got the 18 speed there, we got an 18 speed here, some effectiveness, or effect resist and health. But like I said, I just didn't like the reliability. I felt F Cleary was stronger, so I nerfed her speed and Cerise speed combined to get A-Roz and F Cleary faster. Remnant Violet, I'll kind of show my future build for him. This is what I'm planning. So this is what he's at right now. The defense is good, HP is very low. Suffers versus Last Rider Crow, Suffers versus Sage Ball and Cezanne. Definitely not recommended. The HP is way too low. Some people drop the attack very significantly for an HP main. I don't want to go that direction, but hold on, let me show you guys what I wanted to work on. So I wanted to take this Champion Zerato one. I could reroll that attack for higher attack if I need, but I think it's actually a bit of a loss. If I want to commit this helmet to him, crit rate would be better. And I'm going to probably swap in this boot. So he will look something like this. He's at a double S right now. There is a Violet banner up. I'm probably not going to ham it for the imprint. I'm probably just going to slate. I might do that. And then I can roll, there's this flat attack 57 for speed. Ideally, I get a 4 speed, and then I'd be pretty much the same speed as I was, but with more bulkiness. The damage will still be good, and ideally, I'd be at 100% crit rate. Well, we'll see how it goes. I probably have to kind of play around with it, but it's hard to toss like with the gear currently on him. The sword is very hard to compete against. Yes, it is an 88, so only 515 attack, as opposed to 525. If you watch my tips and change video, you know that's the reason why I'd say running the 88 immunity chest from Hell Raid is more worth it than the speed sword, because you're losing. But it's hard to compete with the stats here. High speed roll, high crit rate, high attack, and decent health. And he does need health percent as well, so there's no way I'm re-rolling that for, let's say, crit damage. But this one definitely could go, like I showed it, the Champion Zerato. And this one I kind of have to keep. I was looking at what I have, very hard to get a replacement for. This one, flat defense is really good on Remnant Violet. Percent as well, he's just like in between. He's not as defense hungry as, let's say, Scorpio Thief, but he's still very squishy, because they're thieves. The crit rate is decent, the attack is kind of on the low side, but the 123 flat defense is really helpful. This one as well, very helpful for his build. I might re-roll that health into speed, as I'm getting a lot of the health back from the boot and the helmet, as I showed in the build. And then this one's kind of like weird. If I'm gonna roll this, I think I probably put this onto the Tempest Siren, so like a direct boot swap, because she doesn't need any bulk. No, she's not a build. Okay, Operator Cigarette. This is getting pretty long. I'm looking at the recording. It's an hour and 13 minutes right now. Operator Cigarette. This is what I ran her as, and only the S2, S3. She as it is at an S. So when I pulled her, I already had ice cigarettes all over the place. It used to be a really salty one to get, like let's say from the free tickets and stuff like that. But it turned out to be really good, right, for Operator Cigarette. I don't necessarily have the speed DPS gear to make her an opener, so she was like, I used her today actually in Guild War for Oxlot's Cleave. Oxlot's into ML Cigarette into ML Luluka. Very solid. She's a very high damage nuker, but if people run into her in RTA, people who have cleave brains, oof, she can do a lot of damage. Definitely do not underestimate her damage. I could probably go crit rate on this. Just looking at stuff that I look at, I don't look at a lot of the gear. Again, I don't use them a lot anymore because Oxlots is ungeared. Alright, Artemis Shadow, recently obtained from the coin shop. She's at a she's at an S. Use the transmit stone for it, but I'm refusing to triple S her in case I get quote unquote unlucky and I pull her from Moonlights, and I wouldn't get a coin because I used 2 coins to buy her. So if I accidentally summoned her from a Moonlight summon, I wouldn't get a coin out of it. So I'd rather use that as an imprint. So I didn't want to use the transmit stone for it, but using Guild War today as well, pretty cool. She's kind of cool hero. I think just people who find her underwhelming, I think it's just she's kind of a weird pick. I definitely think that she could be really good if paired with sustain and even a healer. She can be her own solo damage dealer because yeah, I mean, people know how she works. I mean, she has own CR boosting, she has uncounterable S3, she can blind, she can burn, she can seal, which, you know, 50% of the most OP heroes right now rely on a passive to make them OP. But anyways, these are the stats I have her on. It's really just kind of like the Charles counter gear that I used to have on, but you know, like, since I don't use Charles anymore, I'm just like, okay, let's build her, let's use her, and she's kind of fun. I have to say, she's kind of fun. But that's pretty much it. Oxlot, like I said, unbuilt. Still holding some fast speed gear, but it's not like really usable on anyone. So definitely not. I gear him on occasion to do like 1 hit. I have some like spare speed gear that's not on anyone because it's like really bad main. Like this one, like 19 speed. Like I could use this on an Oxlot if I had the right speed on helmet and chest, but I'm out of speed set ones. So one day, like I wouldn't mind keeping him built, but it's just that I don't necessarily use him all the time anymore. CDOM as well, like part of the build for when I was using Oxlots a lot, and of course, really nice book holder. She's triple. Oh yeah. I have her self imprinted because this is what happens if I don't. For 49, I have missed a crit before, so it's pretty laughable. But it is like I usually run all my damage dealers that require into a CDOM and Oxlots comp to be at 100% anyway. So as you saw, like my ML Sigrid or whatever. So I don't really need the release, or J Kise. I don't need the imprint release. But oh, I could get some attack out of that effectiveness. Okay, so definitely a big overhaul upcoming because there's a lot of gear that I think has potential if I just swapped 1 substat. This one, I can't really get any more out of it. Maybe speed, I guess, if I want to use that boot. Champions of Rado. Man, I have mixed feelings about CZ this season. I used him once in RTA. He boomed. I see people reactionary draft him versus F10, Cerise and whatever. He still booms. In terms of he's dead, he dies. My build may not be amazing, but I feel that a lot of people are feeling that same way. So Champions of Rado right now is, I would say, less of a popular choice, but I might be wrong, okay? So if you use Champions of Rado to a successful degrees, like big thumbs up. But when I was climbing, everyone who used Champions of Rado all lost. I never lost to a Champions of Rado pick, and I left him in, and my F10 was like, I didn't expect him to ban my F10 or whatever. I just leave them in. So like he's hard countered by Sage Baal, which is one of my favorite picks, because Sage Baal can't really debuff him, so he can't throw anything back, and then he can one-shot Champions of Rado. So at a specific time. So like there's a lot of stuff that he suffers with. He's not bad, but I think definitely once they sort of nerfed him where he can't guarantee the counter, the debuff counter thrown back, he definitely became a lot weaker. It really did affect how effective he was. Before you didn't need to resist check, but then now with resist check, it's even super risky to use him. Anyways, this is my Spec Tenny. I use her a lot. Definitely, she's at an S right now. Very high, very strong imprint to have. I can run like crit rate on that, convert it, but right now I'm looking into a bit more bulk into her as well. So I'm gonna reduce the speed a bit and then look into more bulk. And yes, and again, 99% crit rate feels bad. But it is what it is. But I'm looking to rebuilding her as well. One of my higher priorities. I want to get her to about like 11,000 HP, 1,300, 1,400 defense. But the HP is quite necessary on her right now. Because especially the higher up you go, because Last Rider Crow, and true damage. Although Last Rider Crow is the only source of true damage I believe that can hit her unless she's the last man standing. So it's mainly for Last Rider Crow, I would say, but just like Landy, Last Rider Crow, and stuff like that, you want a bit of HP to compensate the defense penetration on those heroes. But I would, yeah, that's what my advice would be. Otherwise, it's some wasted stats on the effectiveness, effect resist, as you see there. Top model Lulika, I got her to usable, never used her in RTA. I always felt that if I wanted to speed contest, why not just use the faster, like, you know, hero. I just bulk up if I face RB. Like Sage Ball and Cezanne, high counter to RB. But otherwise, yeah, those are the stats. Oh yeah, it's definitely some stats I could reroll here too. I did for this one. It was effect resistance again, so there's like no brainer, and it's crit set. Crit set is not a set I really want to rely on, so I had a lot of those subset gems laying around. I think that's pretty much it. Singelica I use in Guild War offense. I think she's okay. I use it on the attack imprint usually, but otherwise, you know, with Shamadra staff and the self imprint, she actually has quite a bit. So I just quickly show the stats there. This one is really odd, literally for the speed. That 22 attack though, defense main, defense percent. See if I have one. Ah, I don't. Oh wait, see what we get with the smaller stone. We got 15% out of it. You know what? That's actually not bad for now. And I'm not too eager to. Maybe I have to look at what kind of effect sets I have. Otherwise, that's not a bad one to do because it's all bulk stats. Anyways, I think that's pretty much it. Fire Shuri, the weapon has been removed, but otherwise he was built for my cleave comp. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, Ray. I didn't get into it. I just didn't feel that I needed him for high debuff. Like, I preferred outspeed if possible, and Kitty Clarissa as well. Like, so they were like half like worked on as a reactionary thing to like how scary the meta was. When I started pushing RTA, everybody's like, oh, it's all counter, or it's all control heavy. And so I know a lot of people reactionary picks went like start building those two, and then I started realizing when people picked that up against me, I didn't feel too effective because they would always have to double pick some kind of cleanser, but then you just over damage it and then they still lose. So that's why I didn't do it. So yeah, Sage Ball and Cezanne is my green farmer right now. Green Expo, leveling his friendship. Fire CC, someone I also want to build up. But anyways, I think that's pretty much it. That was a long one, man. Whew. Okay, so anyways, at least I got that done. So those are my builds for Ardor season. Long video. If you stayed to the end, man, wow. Definitely big applaud. But thank you for watching the video. I'm going to end this for your sake as well. End this for the video recording. If you guys have Discord, check out the Discord server. Follow me on Twitter. Subscribe to YouTube if you haven't. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time.